4 members of the Salt Lake Police Department, including 3 uniformed officers and 1 civilian employee, they are now all home today and are going to remain there for a while. They're on self-quarantine over fears they may have been exposed to the coronavirus.
At every level, at every turn, we're trying to minimize that exposure so that we can better serve the community.
Once the news broke Wednesday night that Rudy Gobert had tested positive for the coronavirus, 2 officers and the civilian employee who worked closely with Jazz team members, they spoke with Chief Mike Brown. They were all at Monday's Jazz home game against the Toronto Raptors, and the decision was made for them to quarantine at home.
The ones that we quarantined and put on admin leave are those that had direct exposure with the team.
The 3rd officer recently returned from a trip to a country in the Far East, and he is also now on administrative leave and home quarantine. The good news is that so far none of the 4 are displaying any flu-like symptoms. Chief Brown says all of this is being done on the side of caution and to reassure the public that the critical element of public safety remains intact.
And we have all looked at ways that we can limit that exposure so that we can better serve this community. So I think we're in good hands. The message I have, or the call to action, is if you need us, call. But let's take every precaution that we can not to spread this virus.
Along those lines, Chief Brown goes on to say that the traditional police shift lineup before officers hit the streets, that's now being suspended, with officers reporting in remotely prior to their shift.
Get on the radio and call into their beats or their areas and just start taking calls rather than go to a big lineup where if someone happened to be exposed, they would now contaminate the entire squad.
And Chief Brown says his command staff is also now separated into 2 teams, a gold team and a blue team, and they will now alternate days from when they come into the office. All of these precautions will be in place until further notice. In Salt Lake City, Scott McCain, Fox 13 News, Utah.